I'm proud to stand here today in support of a proposal that would cut or eliminate property taxes for all Pennsylvania homeowners. Dating back years before my resolution that forced Governor Schweiker to call a special legislative session on property tax reform, our citizens have seen an endless parade of false promises and failed attempts. However, over the last couple years, we have seen ever-increasing support for plans to reduce or eliminate property taxes. And that support culminated this year when Governor Wolf placed the issue of property tax relief and reform front and center in his budget address. And I thank and commend the governor for that. Because as you can see, the leadership of the governor displayed in March already has produced alternative proposals on property tax relief and elimination. One we have here today, House Bill 504, Senate Bill 76, and other property tax freeze bills. His leadership and emphasis on this issue has really energized this year's promising bipartisan and bicameral determination to get property tax relief done. In this plan we have today, the Senate Democrats, we have a workable dollar-for-dollar tax reduction proposal that will provide real meaningful tax relief. Putting aside the fact that this legislation would eliminate property taxes for over 2 million people and provide up to $500 in rent rebates for apartment dwellers, this bill would finally bring fairness on how we fund our schools. This proposal shifts the funding obligation away from the local tax base onto a larger and more encompassing tax pool. As seniors and others on fixed incomes have painfully seen over the years, the property tax base alone is too small. It's just too small to absorb the ever-increasing school costs and sustain an adequate funding level for our schools. Over the past few decades, the state's funding share of education costs has continuously declined. Today, the average school district receives about one-third of their operating budget from the state. This leaves the lion's share of education funding on the backs of homeowners, a smaller tax base. This unfair system prompts frequent and sometimes drastic property tax hikes. In some school districts, they have raised taxes over the last 20 to 25 years continuously on the backs of homeowners. And what that funding disparity also produces is greater equity gaps in our schools. Nationally, Pennsylvania ranks near the bottom of the list in school equity. Near the bottom. I think there's only 2 other states that have a worse equity funding problem. When you have a greater reliance on local funding sources for education, pockets of wealth and conversely, pockets of poverty become the reason for such drastic inequity in our local school system. And if we can't get this done this year, it means that small towns with shrinking tax bases and dwindling revenue will continue to rely on these overtaxed homeowners. If we fail to act, more and more senior citizens on fixed incomes and working families will struggle to keep their homes, and that's a fact. Failing to act also means that Pennsylvania's slowly rebounding real estate market, because it is a slow rebounding market out there, will continue to struggle against tax obstacles that discourage families from seeking a home. There are several promising and workable reform solutions on the table. Both House Bill 504, the Senate Democratic proposal here today, the governor's proposal, they're all solid ideas. And we need to work together on all these issues to finally get property tax relief done for our homeowners. Senate Democrats realize that, hey, look, we propose an agenda out there on how to eliminate property taxes for 2 million people. We also recognize there's a House bill out there and there's a governor's proposal out there. We want to work together with Republicans and with the governor to finally do something on property tax relief this year. And I thank the governor for his leadership. Because of his leadership, you have seen these many proposals. And I can tell you, as Senate Democrats, we always want to work with the other side of the aisle and with our governor to do what's right for our people. This is a great plan. I'll be the first to acknowledge that it's not carved in stone. We're more than willing to work with others to improve this legislation. We're always willing to work on a workable plan that's best for everyone. And more than anything, today's proposal signifies that property tax reform is a budget priority and deserves primary component in any budget agreement moving forward.